Join me, the Suburban Prepper, as I dive into the complexities of the Ukraine-US rare earth mineral deal and see if we can predict whether China will lose its grip on rare earth export and, how this could actually affect you. The rare earth industry is critical to modern technologies, playing a pivotal role in the production of electronics, renewable energy, defense equipment, and other advanced applications. For years, China has dominated the rare earth market, controlling nearly 60% of global production and over 80% of rare earth processing capacity. However, strategic collaborations like the potential Ukraine-US rare earth agreement could have profound implications for China's stronghold on the market. This report explores how a partnership between Ukraine and the United States in the rare earth sector may influence Chinese exports and global market dynamics. Rare earth materials are a group of 17 elements that are essential for creating everything from electric vehicle batteries to jet engines and satellite systems. The strategic importance of these materials to clean energy and national security places rare earth supply chains under intense scrutiny, making diversification a priority for countries heavily dependent on China's exports. Although no finalized details of the Ukraine-US rare earth collaboration have been shared, such an agreement could focus on a few key areas. Mining and exploration. Ukraine is known for its vast mineral resources, potentially including rare earth elements. With U.S. support, these reserves could be tapped into. Processing and refining. The U.S. has made efforts to reduce reliance on Chinese refinement capacity, and Ukraine's geographical position and potential cooperation could really support this aim. Supply chain resilience. Building new supply chains through Ukraine would align with the U.S.'s broader goal to secure critical materials for domestic and allied industries. The agreement would aim to establish alternative supply networks to reduce dependency on China while strengthening economic and geopolitical ties between the United States and Ukraine. So, let's talk about the potential impact on Chinese exports. First, there's the erosion of market share. China's dominance in rare earth exports has been built on its ability to produce and refine at scale. A Ukraine-US partnership would provide an alternative source of supply for Western nations, and that would likely curb their reliance on Chinese exports. While the full scope of Ukraine's rare earth capacity isn't clear, even a modest output could begin to chip away at China's near monopoly. Second, let's look at market competition and price pressures. The introduction of another significant player, backed by the United States, could lead to increased competition. This competition may come in the form of lower prices for certain rare earth elements, driven by alternative supplies, and pressure on Chinese refiners to innovate or cut costs to maintain competitiveness. Moving on to geopolitical rebalancing. China has frequently used rare earth exports as a geopolitical tool, leveraging its dominance to exert pressure in trade negotiations. For example, China restricted rare earth exports to Japan during a territorial dispute in 2010. If Ukraine-US agreements lead to diversified supply chains and reduced reliance on China, Beijing's ability to wield rare earths as a geopolitical instrument could be mitigated. Next up, technological and refining advances elsewhere. Investment in Ukraine's rare earth extraction and refining capabilities could catalyze technological advancements, particularly in refining techniques. This could further challenge China's dominance and expertise in this field, forcing China to adapt to heightened global standards in processing and environmental sustainability. So, let's talk about the opportunities for collaboration or, even aggressive retaliation. China may actually adopt a multi-pronged approach to counterbalance this shift. On the collaborative side, China could seek partnerships with other rare earth-rich countries, like those in Africa or Latin America, to help maintain its influence over global rare earth supply chains. On the other hand, China might impose tight export restrictions or provide generous subsidies to keep its edge in rare earth exports, similar to what we've seen in other strategic sectors where it faces competition. So, let's talk about the challenges and limitations of the Ukraine-US agreement. First off, Ukraine may not really have the infrastructure or the expertise needed to mine and refine rare earth elements at scale. Honestly, it's going to take some pretty significant financial and technological investments from the US to get things moving. And then, there's the instability risk. Ukraine is still facing economic and geopolitical hurdles, especially with the ongoing war with Russia. That could definitely make resource development tough and make the agreement a lot more complicated to implement, politically speaking. On top of that, mining and refining rare earth elements can have some serious environmental impacts. Meeting environmental standards could slow down Ukraine's ability to produce, which, let's be honest, is something China has historically been a bit less strict about. And finally, building a supply chain that's both sustainable and scalable is a multi-year process. So, China's dominance in this area will probably stick around for the short to medium term while these alternate supply chains are being built. Now, looking at the broader implications for the global market, while this agreement does pose some challenges for Chinese exports, it also fits into a much larger geopolitical shift towards securing rare earth supply chains that are more diversified and resilient. Plus, regional players like Australia and Canada are really starting to emerge as significant suppliers of rare earths, which only reinforces this global move toward diversification. And hey, technological innovation might speed up too, as countries like the US and Japan start to prioritize research into rare earth recycling and alternatives, all to help cut down reliance on mined materials. So, here are some final thoughts. If it actually happens, the Ukraine-US rare earth agreement would be a pretty strategic move to counterbalance China's dominance in the global rare earth market. Sure, the immediate impact might be limited, but in the long run, this could really reshape supply chains, encourage more competition, and reduce the geopolitical leverage that China currently has. China will probably stay in the lead for rare earth production for a while yet, but this agreement, and others like it around the world, show that things are starting to shift toward a more balanced market. For businesses, policymakers, and industries that depend on rare earths, the next few years are going to be crucial in figuring out exactly how all these changes play out. By being proactive, China may be able to maintain influence, but it won't be the only player in this increasingly strategic global market anymore. And who knows, pretty soon your solar panels and lithium batteries could be made in Ukraine.